Hello everyone, this is Shruti. I welcome you all to our CA Final Law Revision series. In this 15 hours revision series, we'll cover entire syllabus from our study material. At the end of the revision series, you'll be able to revise the subject along with section numbers quickly and easily. Also, it will help you present the answer easily in the examination. So, let's begin with our revision. In this video, we'll cover appointment and qualification of directors. Section 149 to Section 172 of Chapter 11 of Companies Act 2013 contains the provisions related to appointment and qualification of directors. We'll revise this topic by dividing it into 5 parts. To begin with, we'll cover the first part, that is appointment of directors. Now, directors are either appointed by members or board of directors. First section we'll look into is subsection 149. Section 149 contains provisions relating to minimum and maximum number of directors, women director, resident director, and independent director. We'll look into each one of them now. We shall now look into section 149 subsection 1, which provides for minimum number of directors and maximum number of directors. Minimum number of directors in OPC shall be 1, in private limited company shall be 2, and in public company shall be 3. The maximum number of directors a company can have is 15, but this limit can be increased by passing a special resolution. This condition of passing a special resolution is not applicable to a government company as per MCA notification. Now, the limits of minimum number of directors and maximum number of directors is not applicable to Section 8 companies. But this exemption shall not be available to Section 8 company if the company has defaulted in filing of annual return or financial statement to ROC. The Article of Association can prescribe a lower limit of maximum number of directors. That is, it can be lower than 15. Let's say article has prescribed 13. The existing director is 12 and the company wants to appoint 16 directors. The company has to pass two resolutions. First, to alter its articles of association, and second, as per the proviso to section 149 subsection 1. We shall now look into the provisions of women directors. Second proviso to section 149 subsection 1 states that the following class or classes of companies shall have at least one woman directors. Now, which are these following class or classes of companies are prescribed in Rule 3 of Companies Appointment and Qualification of Directors Rule 2014. Now, Rule 3 states that every listed company shall have at least one woman director, and every other public company fulfilling the TP criteria shall have at least one woman directors. Now, what is this TP criteria? It is that every public company shall have turnover more than 300 crores or more, or paid up share capital 100 crores or more. If the company fulfills this criteria, it has to appoint at least one woman director. In case of vacancy in the office of woman director, it shall be filled up by the board by the next board meeting or 3 months from the date of such vacancy, whichever is later. Section 149 subsection 3 states the provisions related to resident directors. Every company shall have at least one director who stays in India for a total period of not less than 182 days in the financial year. That is, he shall be resident in India for at least 182 days in the current financial year. And in case of newly incorporated company, this 182 days criteria shall be applied proportionately. Here comes the most biggest. Next is independent directors. Section 149 subsection 4 to section 149 subsection 13 states the provisions related to independent directors. Now, which company has to appoint independent director is stated in Rule 4. So, Rule 4 states that every listed company shall appoint 1/3 of its total number of directors as independent director, and the other public company fulfilling the top criteria shall have at least 2 independent directors. Now, what is this top criteria? That is, every other public company having turnover 100 crores or more, having aggregate outstanding loans, debentures and deposits exceeding 50 crores, and or having paid up share capital 10 crores or more. So, if the other public company fulfills any of these three conditions, then it has to appoint at least 2 independent directors. But if the company ceases to fulfill any of these three conditions for the consecutive 3 years, then it shall be exempted from this section. That is, this section will not be applicable to this other public company. Now, we will now look into appointment and removal of independent director. If an individual is appointed for first time, the company has to pass ordinary resolution in general meeting, and he can be removed only by passing ordinary resolution. If the same individual is reappointed after the expiry of his term, the company has to pass special resolution for his appointment. Then, in case of removal of this individual who is reappointed, the company has to pass a special resolution, and this independent director can be removed only after giving reasonable opportunity of being heard. The tenure of independent director is up to 5 consecutive years. It is up to, that is, the term can be less than 5 years and it will be treated as one term only. No independent director can hold office for more than 2 terms. The cooling off period of independent director is 3 years. That is, during this period, the person cannot be associated in any capacity with the company. Now, as per the literal interpretation of law, he can be associated with the subsidiary, but logically, he cannot. The independent director can be entitled to profit-related commission and sitting fees. Sitting fees can be maximum rupees 1 lakh, and it shall not be less than other categories of directors. But he cannot receive remuneration and stock options from the company. Now, is independent director included in total number of directors? Then it is yes, but we do not count independent directors in rotational directors. Now, the limits, that is the TP criteria for women director and the top criteria for independent director, are reckoned on the last day of the last audited financial statement. In case of vacancy in the office of independent director, it shall be filled up by the next board meeting or 3 months from the date of vacancy, whichever is later. It is same as woman director. Section 149 subsection 6 lays down the requirements for being independent director. He shall not be a managing director, whole-time director, nominee director. He should be a person of integrity, possess relevant expertise and experience. He should not be a promoter of CHAS. CHAS is company, its holding, its associate or subsidiary. He should not be related to promoter or directors of CHAS. So first we have seen he should be a person of integrity and possess relevant expertise and experience. Second, he shall not be a promoter of CHAS or not related to promoter or director of CHAS. Third is he shall not have any pecuniary relationship with the CHAS or the promoter of or director during the two immediately preceding financial year or current financial year. This pecuniary relationship condition is not applicable to government. Then the next is none of his relative is holding security or interest in CHAS, but the relatives may hold up to face value not exceeding 50 lakh or 2% of paid up capital of CHAS or such higher sum as prescribed. They should not be indebted to CHAS or director or promoter for value amounting to 50 lakh or more, have not provided any guarantee or security in connection with indebtedness of third person to CHAS, director or promoter for 50 lakhs or more, or have any other pecuniary transaction or relationship with CHAS for 2% or more of its gross turnover or total income singly or in combination with transaction provided in this three clauses. Next is himself or his relative in any of the three immediately preceding financial years shall not hold or has not held the position of KMP or is or has not been the employee of CHAS. But this employee condition is not applicable to the relative. That is, if the relative is an employee of CHAS, still he can be an independent director. Next is or has not been the employee, proprietor or partner of firm of auditors, company secretaries in practice, cost auditors of CHAS, or is or has not been the employee, proprietor or partner of any legal or consulting firm who has or had any transaction with the CHAS amounting to 10% or more of the gross turnover of the firm. Next is himself or his relative does not hold together 2% or more of the total voting power of the company, and himself or his relative is not a CEO or director of the non-profit organization which receives 25% or more of its receipt from the CHAS or its promoters or its directors, or holds 2% or more of the total voting power of the company. If the company has constituted an audit committee consisting minimum of 3 directors, then the majority of its directors shall be independent director. Section 161 lays down the provisions of directors appointed by Board of Directors. We have 4 subsections in Section 161. Subsection 1 is additional director, subsection 2 is alternate director, subsection 3 is nominee director, and subsection 4 is director in casual vacancy. First, we'll see these 3 subsection, that is subsection 1, 2 and 4. The power to appoint additional director is given in Regulation 72 of Table A. To appoint alternate director, the authorization is in Articles of Association or by resolution in general meeting. And in case of director in casual vacancy, no such authorization is required. Now the method of appointment. Additional director is appointed either in board meeting or by resolution by circulation. Same is for alternate director, that is board meeting or resolution by circulation. In case of director in casual vacancy, only board meeting is allowed, that is appointment only in board meeting. This is the restriction stated in section 161 subsection 4 that the director in casual vacancy cannot be appointed by resolution by circulation. Now the tenure of additional director is up to the commencement of first AGM held after the appointment. If this AGM is not held, then the last day on which AGM ought to have been held. In case of alternate director, now what is alternate director? He's the director appointed by board of director in the absence of original director in India for a continuous period of 3 months. So he shall hold office till the return of the original director or the end of office of original director, whichever is earlier. In case of director in casual vacancy, now what is casual vacancy? It is vacancy otherwise done in normal course, that is death or other reason. But this vacancy should be in the office of director originally appointed in general meeting. He shall be appointed in general meeting. Then its tenure will be unexpired period of original director. Now for one individual, and he restrictions for the additional director is if the director fails to get appointed in a general meeting, he cannot be appointed as an additional director. In case of alternate director, that he can be alternate director only for one individual. Automatic reappointment section is not applicable to alternate director. The alternate director of independent director should be independent director, and for woman director should be woman director. Then in case of director in casual vacancy, as we have seen that director in casual vacancy cannot be appointed by resolution by circulation. In maximum number of directors limit, additional number of directors are counted. Section 161 subsection 3 is nominee director. Nominee director are the directors nominated by bank or any financial institution as per the provisions of law, agreement, in case of government company by central government or state government. Then authorization of articles of association is required. Now, who can appoint a small shareholder director? So section 151 states that a listed company may suo motu, that is on its own, or upon notice of not less than 1000 shareholders or 1/10 of total number of shareholders, whichever is lower, have a small shareholder director elected by small shareholders. Who is a small shareholder? He is a shareholder holding shares of aggregate nominal value of not more than 20,000 rupees or such other sum as may be prescribed. Such small shareholder director may or may not be an independent director. Only small shareholder shall participate in the voting process. Now, a small shareholder who is proposing a candidate for small shareholder shall give a company a notice at least 14 days before the meeting proposing a candidate, giving its details and the consent. This candidate proposed may or may not be a small shareholder director. Now section 163 is appointment of director by proportional representation. The company provides in its article of association that at least 2/3 of the total number of directors must be appointed under this section, that is either by a single transferable vote or cumulative voting. The tenure of these directors is 3 years, and in case of vacancy in this office, it shall be filled by Board of Directors under section 161 subsection 4, that is director by casual vacancy. If CLB passes order under section 408, then it is mandatory to adopt 163. Otherwise, this section is an optional section. We'll come to a very important section, that is section 152, appointment of directors. It is the base section. First, we'll see the basic legal requirement for appointment. First, a company should pass an ordinary resolution in general meeting. Second is the person proposed to be appointed as a director shall furnish a dean or other number prescribed along with a declaration that he is not disqualified to be appointed as director. The third condition is he shall file his consent in form DIR2 within 30 days of appointment to ROC. This condition number 3 is not applicable to section 8 company and the government company. There is an additional requirement for independent director that explanatory statement shall be annexed to notice for general meeting. Now, in case of newly incorporated company, then the appointment of first director shall be either by naming in article of association, or the article of association empowers subscriber to memorandum to appoint the first director. Then in case if the article of association doesn't name or it doesn't empower the subscriber to memorandum, then the subscriber to memorandum who are individual shall be deemed to be the first director of the company. Now we come to the very important concept of this section, that is rotation of directors. Section 152 subsection 6 and section 152 subsection 7 contains the provisions related to rotation. So this concept is applicable only to the public company. Now the section states that unless otherwise stated in article of association, at least 2/3 of the total number of directors shall be liable to retire by rotation, and of this 2/3, exact 1/3 shall retire every AGM. Now who shall retire first is the director who is longest in the office. That is, we'll use FIFO method, first in, first out, who is longest in the office. And if the two directors are appointed on the same day, then they will retire as per the lot. Or if there is agreement, then subject to agreement. Now, these rotational directors are appointed in general meeting by passing ordinary resolution. Now, if two-thirds of the total number of directors are rotational, then the permanent director will be maximum one-third. Okay, these directors are appointed by article of association, and if the article of association is silent, then in general meeting. These permanent directors include independent directors, women directors, whole-time directors, and directors appointed by board of directors. These directors can be removed only after giving opportunity of being heard. Now, while counting this total number of directors, will deduct nominee director, additional director, small shareholder director. This is as per the logical interpretation. ICI is silent about this. We'll look into the concept of automatic adjournment and reappointment. In case of vacancy in the office of director and this vacancy is not so filled up and the meeting has not expressly resolved not to fill up this vacancy, then the meeting shall be adjourned to the next week, same time and place. And if this day is a national holiday, then the next succeeding day, even on Sundays. Okay. And if even in the adjourned meeting the vacancy is not so filled up and meeting has not explicitly resolved not to fill up the vacancy, then the retiring director shall be deemed to have been reappointed at the adjourned meeting unless, that is, retiring director will be reappointed, but in these following cases he shall not be reappointed. The first is resolution for reappointment of retiring director is put and lost. Second is notice is given in writing by the retiring director expressing his unwillingness to be reappointed. Third, he is not qualified or he is disqualified. Fourth is a resolution is required by the virtue of any provision to reappoint the retiring director. And next is section 162 is applicable. This section 162 states that a separate resolution is required to appoint every individual as a director. If you want to appoint more than one director by a single resolution, first you have to pass an unanimous resolution in a general meeting. Then this resolution passed to appoint more than one director in a single resolution shall be valid. Now back to section 152 subsection 6 and subsection 7. Now this concept of rotation is not applicable to government company, but this exemption shall not be available if the company has defaulted in filing of annual return or financial statement. Identification number. Section 153 states that every individual who wants to obtain DIN shall make an application in an e-form DIR3 on MCA portal along with necessary documents to a central government. This application must be digitally signed and verified. Now, section 154 provides that after processing application, system will generate a provisional DIN. Then the central government shall process the application received and decide on approval or rejection. If it is satisfied, it will approve and communicate the approval to the applicant within 1 month. And if it has found any defect, it shall intimate by email or placing it on website and to rectify such defects within 15 days. Now, section 156 states that after the receipt, applicant shall within 1 month intimate all the companies, and section 157 states that all the companies who have received this intimation from applicants shall intimate within 15 days to ROC. Section 155 provides that one individual shall have one DIN. Now, section 158 states that individual or company shall mention its DIN details while furnishing any return information or particulars. Rule 11 states that the DIN can be cancelled or deactivated if found duplicate or have been obtained in wrongful manner upon the death of the person, if he has become of unsound mind, he has become insolvent, or he has voluntarily surrendered the DIN. Section 159 states that in case of contravention of Section 152, Section 155 and 156, imprisonment up to 6 months and fine up to rupees 50,000 and rupees 500 per day in case of continuing default. Now, till now we have covered appointment of directors, till now, we have covered sections related to appointment of directors and section related to DIN. Now we shall look into disqualification of appointment of directors. Section 164. So till now, we have completed appointment of directors and sections related. So till now, we have completed sections related to appointment of directors and sections related to DIN. Now we shall look into disqualification for appointment of directors, that is section 164. A person shall not be eligible for appointment as a director of a company in the following cases. First, he is of unsound mind or stands to be declared by a Till now, we have seen sections related to appointment of directors and sections related to DIN. Now we shall look into sections related to qualification and disqualification of directors. Section 164 states that a person shall not be eligible for appointment as a director in case he is of unsound mind, he is undischarged insolvent, he has been adjudicated as an insolvent, and the application is pending, then he has been convicted by a court of offense and the sentence to the imprisonment for not less than 6 months and a period of 5 years has not elapsed from the date of expiry of sentence. But if he has been sentenced to imprisonment for a period of 7 years or more, he shall not be eligible to be appointed as a director in any company. That is, if the period of imprisonment is more than 7 years, he can never be a director. Then a order disqualifying him has been passed by court or tribunal. Then he has not paid calls in respect of shares held by him of the company and 6 months have elapsed from the last day fixed for payment of the call. Then he has been convicted of offense of dealing with related party transaction during the last preceding 5 years. Then he has not complied sections related to section 152 subsection 3, which require a director to have a director identification number under section 154. Now, in case of disqualification D, E, and F, this disqualification shall continue even if the appeal has been filed. Okay. Section 164, subsection 2 states that a person who is or has been a director of company has not filed financial statement or annual returns for a continuous period of 3 years or has failed to repay deposits or interest thereon, has failed to redeem debentures on the due date but pay interest thereon, or has failed to pay any dividend declared, and such failure to pay or redeems continue for 1 year or more, shall not be eligible to be reappointed as a director of that company or in any other company for a period of 5 years. Now, this section 164 subsection 2 is not applicable to a government company. In case of private company, the articles may provide for any additional disqualification. Now we shall look into section 167, vacation of office of director. So according to section 167, the office of director shall become vacant in case he has incurred any disqualification specified in section 164. He has absent himself from all board meetings held during the period of 12 months with or without seeking leave of absence. Then he acts in the contravention of provision of section 184. Or next is he fails to disclose his interest in any contract or arrangement in which he is interested. The next is he becomes disqualified by the order of court or tribunal. Then point F states that he is convicted by the court of any offense involving moral turpitude or otherwise and sentenced to imprisonment for not less than 6 months, and he shall vacate in this case, that is in case of offense, even if he has filed an appeal against the order of such court. Then next is he is removed in pursuance of provisions of this act. Then he, having been appointed a director by virtue of his holding any office or other employment in holding subsidiary or associates, ceases to hold such office or employment in that company. So in case if a person functions as a director even when his office is vacated on account of disqualification, then he shall be punishable with the imprisonment for a term which may extend to 1 year, or with a fine which shall not be less than 1 lakh but may extend to rupees 5 lakh, or with both. Now this point is very important. It states that where all the director of a company vacates their office under any disqualification specified in 1, the promoter, or in his absence, the central government shall appoint the required number of directors who shall hold office till the directors are appointed by the company in general meeting. Section 168, resignation of director. So, a director may resign from his office by giving a notice in writing. Then, on receipt of this notice, the company shall, within 30 days of receipt, shall intimate to the registrar in Form DIR 12 and post the information on its website. Also, the company shall place the fact of such resignation in the board reports. Then the next is the director shall forward a copy of his resignation along with the detailed reason for his resignation to the registrar within 30 days from the date of resignation. Then the next point states that the resignation shall take effect from the date on which the notice is received by the company, or the date which is specified by the director, whichever is later. It further provides that the director who has resigned shall be liable even after his resignation for offence which has occurred during his tenure. Then this is the same point which we have covered in section 167, that is where all the directors of a company resigns or vacate their office, then the promoter, or in their absence central government, shall appoint the required number of directors who shall hold the office till the directors are appointed by the company in general meeting. Next is section 169, removal of director. A director may be removed before the expiry of a period of his office, but after giving him a reasonable opportunity of being heard by passing an ordinary resolution. But in case of director appointed by the tribunal under section 242, directors appointed on the principle of proportional representation under section 163, and the directors appointed by the central government under section 408 cannot be removed by the ordinary resolution before the expiry of his term. In case a company wants to remove a director or to appoint somebody in the place of the director so removed, a special notice shall be required of any resolution. The company shall forward this special notice to all the members before at least before 7 days of the general meeting. It can be either by individual notice or by advertisement in the newspaper. The company shall also forward the copy to the director, and the director shall be heard on the resolution. In case if the director makes a representation in writing to the company shall forward the copy of the representation to every member of the company to whom the notice of the meeting is sent. If the copy of representation is not sent due to insufficient time or the company's default, the director may ask for oral representation in general meeting. However, if the representation need not be sent out and the representation need not be read out at the meeting, if then on an application either by the company or the other person aggrieved, the tribunal or the CLB is satisfied that the rights conferred are being abused to secure needless publicity for defamatory matter. The vacancy shall be filled in the same general meeting, and if it is not filled in the same meeting, then it shall be fulfilled as per section 161 subsection 4. The directors cannot continue in office after the last day on which AGM should have been held. Two special points of this section are that the directors removed under section 169 are not entitled to the compensation for loss of office, and the second is a small shareholder director can be removed under section 169 by passing the ordinary resolution in which all the equity shareholders can participate in the voting process whether they are small shareholders or not. Now we'll cover some small sections. Section 160, that is right of person other than retiring directors to stand for directorship. It is applicable only to public company. It is not applicable to private company, government company and its subsidiary and section 8 company. The first step 1 is a special notice by himself or other shall be given at least 14 days before date of general meeting, along with the special deposit amount of rupees 1 lakh and a written consent to act as a director. This security deposit of rupees 1 lakh will be refunded in case if a person proposed gets selected as a director or if he gets more than 25% of the total votes. The deposit amount is not applicable in case of independent director, directors recommended by nomination and remuneration committee, and the directors recommended by board of directors. The security deposit amount of rupees 1 lakh is not applicable for Nidhi company. The deposit required for a Nidhi company is rupees 10,000. In step 2, the company shall forward the intimation by individual notice or advertisement in English newspaper and also advertise on website at least 7 days before the general. Now section 172 punishment. It states that if a company contravenes any of the provisions of section and for which no specific punishment is provided, then company and every officer who is in default shall be punishable with the fine not less than rupees 50,000 but which may extend to rupees 5 lakh. Now we come to the very important part, that is amendments. It is in Rule 12A. The first amendment is every individual who is appointed as a director and allotted DIN has to file a e-form DIR 3 KYC to central government by the 30th of September of immediate next financial year. Earlier, this date was 30th June and now it has been extended to 30th September. The second amendment is introduction of web form DIR 3 KYC web. So if an individual needs to submit his information to the central government for the first time, then he has to file DIR 3 KYC. And in the subsequent time or the subsequent years, if there is no change in the information furnished in the previous year, he has to furnish web form dir3 KYC web. Here the information will be prefixed and he only needs to authenticate the information. But in case if there is an updation of information, then he has to file dir3 KYC.